welcome to part 4 of From Rock to Jazz. This week we are moving on to some repertoire content. In the previous 3 weeks we were doing some scales. We looked at our major and our dominant scales on Route 5 and Route 6. And then in the second week we did arpeggios, major 7 and dominant 7. Again, Route 5, Route 6. And then in the third week we were combining the two of these ideas, and rather than moving chromatically up and then back down the neck, we were doing them around the circle of fifths. Hopefully all of that's been going well. This week we are moving on to Autumn Leaves. We're going to use Autumn Leaves, an arrangement that's in the key of E minor or G major. And rather than just learn the song, we're going to use the song as our guide to do a bunch of exercises with. And so in the process of learning the songs and learning the chords through the song, we're actually going to do a bunch of exercises and hopefully learn a whole lot more about music and the instrument and the piece as well. We're going to take an entire section of Autumn Leaves and we're going to chunk it into 3 main smaller segments for our exercises today. Now, initially what we're going to do is just do a run through of the chords. Now, this week we're going to just play the chords in a comfortable manner. Usually in jazz, if you've got a bass player or a pianist playing with you, it would be uncommon for the most part to play our usual 5 or 6 string chords that we do on guitar. The usual kind of stuff like bar chords over either string, or even country or folk chords, whatever you like to call them. What we're going to do this week is play them in a comfortable manner, and in later weeks we're going to talk about rearranging those chords. So in a moment what's going to happen is I'm going to pop the first chunk of the chords up on the screen, pause the video, have a look at the chords, and just work out a way that's comfortable for you to play them. There's no right or wrong here. It's just about finding something that's comfortable for you, something that you like the sound of on the instrument. And then once you've got those chords down and you're comfortable, come back, press play, and we'll rejoin each other and have a chat about what we're going to do next. Awesome. Welcome back. Hopefully that went well. Hopefully you've got the chords down. Nothing too out of the ordinary. We do have all extended chords, so minor 7th, major 7th, dominant 7th, as well as our half diminished chord there, half dim 7. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take it a little bit further. And this is really where the main exercise for this week's going to come from. It's being born out of those chords. What we're going to do is play the first, the second, and the third degree of each of these chords as a lead-in little run line to the chord. And now what this is going to do is teach us to see the notes on the neck better. We're just doing these in the lower register today, which is why we were doing those chords just a minute ago, that we were doing them as our regular sort of 5 or 6 string chord shapes. But it's not only going to allow us to see the notes better, it's going to help us piece together the chord and how that fits into the overall key and the scale system that goes along with that. So example for this is our first chord is an A minor 7 chord. Now what we're going to do for the run is play A, B, C. Our A is our root note, obviously. The B is the second degree. Now, it's a natural second. What I'm doing here is just playing from the scale. So we have a B note in our E minor scale or our G major scale. So I'm just going up, staying within the key, but thinking of it in relation to the chord that we're playing. So A is our root, B is our second, C is the minor third because it's an A minor 7 chord. We're going to do the same thing on the next. So D7, we've got D first, our root, E, which is our second scale degree, and then F sharp, which is our major third. We have a major third in our dominant 7 chords. And we're going to do a run through of that through this opening section. Now, You can place these notes wherever you like on the neck. It's whatever's comfortable to you. The main thing that we want to be doing here though is just ensuring that we're seeing how these chords and these notes fit in with one another, and then also keeping one eye on how that fits into our overall key and our overall scale. So we would have initially for our A minor 7, for our D7, for our G major 7, for our C major 7. And now when we're doing this F sharp, you've got an option. You can either go F sharp, G, A, which would be sticking within the key. That gives us a flattened second. So the G is the flattened second in relation to an F sharp. If you wanted to, you could stray from the scale that we're in and go F sharp, G sharp, A instead. Totally up to you there. You can choose what you like based on what you prefer to play and what you like the sound of most. And then we get to our B7 chord, and then we go back to our E minor. That is the goal with this. So in a moment, I'm going to put the screen back up. All right, hopefully that went well. Hopefully you got to see some of the notes in the chords and in the scale and how they fit together with that. We're going to do the exact same thing now, moving on to the next section of the song. So in this next section, when the chords come up, what we're going to do is same thing, just play through the chords in a comfortable manner first. And then once you've got the chords down, do the same run through, 1, 2, 3, for each of the chords on the screen. Unpause the video and then join me again when you've got them down, and we'll talk about the final section of the piece, which has a couple changes, couple new chords, but also some timing changes. All right, welcome back. So what we're going to do now for this final section is adjust our timing a little bit, because there's a part of this where we have 2 chords per bar rather than a single chord per bar. Now, up until now, we've just been playing through the notes as 1, 2, 3. This is where we're going to ensure that we've got some timing to go with it. Now, the way that I've been practicing this, the lesson that was given to me, is to play them on the and of the third beat that leads into the chord that we're going to play. What that means is, if we were going to play the very first bar again, that A minor 7 chord, the timing in the lead up would be and 4 and 1. And then going to the D7 would be of the bar of the A minor 7, we'd go and 4 and 1, and that would be our second bar. So for this, we're going to make sure that we've got our notes down, but also start adding the timing in. And then at the end, when we do the whole thing, we're going to make sure that we've got the timing the entire way through. For these 2 bars where we have 2 chord changes per bar, the timing is going to be the same. The initial lead in is going to be and 4 and. We're going to rest on beat 1, and then we're going to play and 2 and, rest on beat 3, and then continue that on. So for that, we have an E minor 7 chord. So going to an A dominant 7. So making sure that we've got that C sharp in there. A D minor 7 chord. Going to a G7. You can play that however you like for the moment. And then we're returning back to our regular rhythm structure afterwards. These are going to go up on the screen in a moment. Same thing, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about putting it all together and comping ideas. All right, welcome back. Hopefully that went well. What we're going to do for this final section is comp the 2 ideas together. So we're going to put the initial runs that we've been doing, keeping the same timing that we just talked about, and 4 and then add the chord in afterwards. This is a great way to keep your brain on its toes, so to speak, for you to be able to see the chords as well as the notes, and then the overall key signature, the overall scale that we're working from, and putting it all together, as well as giving you something that's interesting to play on the instrument. Now, we're going to do this by having the run go into the chord, and then the next run For the next chord, just like that. And so on. There are 2 videos in the description that I've made that you can use for during the week while you're practicing. The first is a backing track with a count in. The idea with this is that it's going to run through the entire section of the piece and you play your individual note runs that we did along with it. So the initial bar count in is just a click to 4. So you want to start on the end of the 3rd beat, and then the chord that comes in that initial will be the A minor 7. So you want to start before the chords do. Have a go running through that. It's just at a nice steady tempo, but it's a great way for you to see the notes and get some practice sticking to a strong rhythm, to that meter the whole way through. The second link is just to a short of me playing through the exercise that we just talked about, where we were comping the 2 ideas. That's what our goal really is this week, is to put those 2 together. And we're going to take it further, like I said earlier, next week. But it's nice to have that. It's just a guide. Don't feel like you have to play it the same way as me. The most important thing that's going to come from this, again, is the exploration that you do, working out what chord shapes work for you and where you want to place the individual notes leading up to those chords. Making up these patterns that work for you on the instrument. So have some fun with that during the week. Hopefully it's going to be a rewarding exercise to do. As always, I do appreciate anyone who would like, subscribe, comment, let me know how you're going, and have some fun with it. I will catch you all in the next one, where we're going to take these ideas but take them further and then push them slightly more into the jazz realm. Next week too, we're going to talk about some voice leading ideas as well as chord voicing and how we can take our comping to the next level. As always, have fun and happy playing, and I'll catch you in the next one.